What is going on, baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of Baseball as Intended, episode 21. This is your host, Jay, alongside my good friend, John, Mets fan, who went on a little bit of a... Well, we're just going to pass. We're just going to forget about what happened last week. Brand new week.
What was that about?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. What that
What was that about,
That
dude?
wasn't nice. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We got 7 teams that swept their series this weekend. A lot of winning streak around the league. We got 3 teams, brand new second place teams. And that's going to be our start bench cut, which teams we think is going to be more of a World Series contender. And then Shohei Ohtani going through probably the hottest streak of his career. And that's saying a lot. So we got to talk. We got to talk about Shohei because why not? But John, hi. How's it going?
Hi, yeah.
Are you feeling better?
It's going good. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like a death in the family. You grieve. You're sad, and then you move on. Life still keeps going. I'm glad we got some changes.
Yes.
Was that extreme? Was that a little extreme?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's not what I would have said, but hey, that's your comparison is your situation. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got a lot of changes because we've been talking so much how the standings have been flipped for a long time, and they have, but everything's been kind of staying a little bit stagnant, and we finally have some teams kind of making some moves. Some teams had some really hot streaks. Before that, I meant to tell you, did you see the David Freese thing?
Yes. What was that about? Isn't that like, I feel like that the Cardinals...
This is not like a big topic or anything. It's just, it has
Weird,
me
right?
rattled. Yeah, so the Cardinals invited him, or he got voted, like by the fans and everybody, got voted to get an invitation into the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Which instantly I was like, yes, like he's not a real Hall of Famer. Yeah, not a real Hall of Famer. Cardinals legend, well known. Like that's the perfect kind of fit. And he just said, no thanks. Gave no reason. The only thing he said that was weird in the statement was, I look back and I think of who I was during that time. And I'm thinking, yeah, MVP of the World Series. Like that's why you're getting the invite here, David. And yeah, he just declined, and then he said, I appreciate the people who don't have an opinion. That's the way you're supposed to live your life.
Do you think it was something with what was going on behind closed doors, maybe in his career, personal life at the time, or maybe they ended up in bad terms and he was like, yeah, I'm done with St. Louis forever?
I don't get it. I mean, this is pro sports. You do something legendary for a team like that. I mean, he had an incredible run that postseason. He
highlight of his career.
A couple big hits. Yeah, not a couple big hits. I think he had like 5 home runs, a bunch of RBIs, clutch, won the World Series for them.
Yeah, that's
legend
weird.
In St. Louis, and he just said no. I don't understand. I wish we tried to get him on, but he declined.
I mean, if he declined the St. Louis Hall of Fame, I mean, what do you think he's gonna do with a baseball as intended?
I was like, we voted you on as well, David. And he was like, no, thanks.
It does feel like, hey, you got nothing else, right? It's not like you had a solid long career, like you're a major leaguer,
Right.
proven. But come on, that was a highlight of your career. With that team, what that meant, it's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a spit in the face of those that supported him in St. Louis, right?
Yeah,
And it always feels like St. Louis has a good
he grew
vibe,
up.
Right?
I mean, he went to high school in Missouri. He was born in Texas, but he grew up there. He started his career with them. Like, that's what this is made for. This is literally what and storied franchise.
How did that story came out too? Who leaked this story?
Well, he issued the statement. He tweeted out a statement. Yeah.
Really?
So I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not just that he was there for a year, I don't get it. I think it's kind of a dick move by him. I don't know all the details.
Okay,
based on what I know.
So I'm looking.
I think it's kind of a dick move.
I don't know. Is this him? I went to you said he tweeted it out. So I went to Twitter and I looked up David Freese. And at David Freese, you know how they have a bio? He said, I have all the characteristics of a human being. What does that mean?
So he might not be doing well.
It has to, right?
Is this some random David Freeze or is this him?
I mean, I don't know. He. Thank you for all the people
What's
that
his
have.
profile picture?
So
What's his profile
it's like
picture?
the jersey. His jersey World Series. He's celebrating the walk off as
With the Cardinals?
yes, and he has the tweet that you mentioned. Thank you for all the people that have zero opinion one way or another. You know how to live your life. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Peace. Yeah, he's going through.
Nah,
some
he's a
stuff.
dick. He's a dick.
He deserves. You know what? San Luis should issue a statement
Uninvited.
saying
Uninvited.
we apologize. He never deserved to be here.
Yeah, we miscounted the votes. He actually wasn't invited. I just thought that was weird. Yeah.
Because it is. Because it is. Maybe it's coming from a weird guy. So who knows?
Oh, he has all the characteristics of a human being. Yeah.
Whatever that means, John.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Anyways, great lead off segment. By the way, we let this episode off with a grand slam or a home run, I guess, if you're leading off. Anyways, let's talk about this weekend in baseball because there was a lot of sweeps. There was a lot of things happening. Like you mentioned, we talked about the power rankings. That's something I wanted to mention too, by the way. We talked about the power rankings last week. And it was weird, right? We thought there was some Minnesota was there. You mentioned how the Marlins should be there, and MLB decided to put them at number 9. And I mentioned how the Angels maybe should be there with a better record than Minnesota. They're still hot, and they were put at number 10. But the Yankees are still at number 8, and they got swept by Boston. So we still got to work on that, MLB. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that it's some progress though, right?
We're
a
getting
little bit
there.
of progress. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got some of those fringe teams in. The Yankees, they're always going to get a little bit of that favoritism.
Of course. I wonder why. So a lot of sweeps, a lot of brooms. People, this weekend was full of those. And I don't remember the last time we had so many. Teams that swept got Phillies. We got the Marlins, Brewers, Reds, Giants, Braves, and Red Sox. All swept their series. Obviously, the Red Sox in Boston against the Yankees. That was a pretty cool one, in my opinion. And with those sweeps, that means like there's a lot of winning streak in baseball right now. So
Yes.
Boston has won 4 in a row. We got Texas 2 in a row. Not much. Angels are hot, but not much of a winning streak. But we got the Braves with a 6-game winning streak. Marlins with a 4-game winning streak. Philadelphia with 6. Milwaukee with 3. Cincinnati with 8. 7 of San Francisco. Like, I mean, obviously that means there's a lot of losing streaks as well. But that's crazy. That's long winning streaks too. And we're starting to see some shifts in the standings again. So, what do you think?
So all NL teams except for the Red Sox. One of my first observations. 3 of them from the NL East. 3 of them from the NL East, which you remember I said how hard it's going to be to catch the Braves because you can play well. The Phillies went on a 6-game winning streak. The Marlins went on a 4-game winning streak, and the Braves were on a 6-game winning streak. The Braves are 8-2 in their last 10. The Phillies, who everyone else has been saying they're so hot, they went 8-2 in the last 2 games. So they went 8-2 and did not gain any ground. Now, obviously, it's still good, right? Because if they didn't go 8-2, they're losing ground. The Braves just keep chugging along, though.
I mean, we knew they were going to be good, and we always said they're going to be good, and they're going to be good for the next decade, right? And they're too good. And now you got Ozzy Albies, who's like a power hitter now, RBI guy, to go along with Acuna, who's the MVP frontrunner. Eddie Rosario found his postseason.
Yes.
Again, his postseason Eddie Rosario, he was the NLCS MVP on that year as well. So like, they're just too good, too deep.
Yeah, it's hard to catch them. I mean, the good news is all these teams have a chance at the wild card, but this is why you just cannot fall behind the Braves because they really seem like they don't slump at all. But then some of the other teams, and I'll let you talk about your Red Sox, but the Reds and the Brewers, I mean, in divisions that they feel really good, right? And they're just on big win streaks here. Or, I mean, they just got the sweep, but been playing well. In general, the Reds are getting Votto back, which I actually think that's big for them. I do. Is that naive of me?
I mean, it's probably big for the clubhouse, right? You have to think that's the veteran guy that's been there since day one. I don't know if he's gonna add much to the at least baseball side of things, but right, like Eli De La Cruz,
He's gonna give you good at bats, though, right?
he should.
Can't you count on him at least? Again, you start
work
thinking
pitch counts?
lengthening. Yeah, work pitch count. But you're right. I think even if he's average or even a little bit below average, I think the Reds are happy to have him back
Well,
because someone's got to guide that team now through a postseason hunt,
and if you think about it, like
which is crazy.
they got hot after Eli De La Cruz came in, so maybe they're like, dude, we got this stud now. Now we're about to get our grandpa back, gonna feel at home.
Yes.
I mean, who knows? And we've talked about how weak that division is, but two of the 7 teams you mentioned, 3 are NLEs, 2 are NL Central, right? Milwaukee
Yes.
has a 3-game winning streak. Cincinnati has 8. So yeah, I don't know. We see Pittsburgh. We've talked about Pittsburgh before.
This is weird. This is weird.
It's so
This is
weird because we're thinking the Cardinals can make a run because Cincinnati's not going to be there. Pittsburgh's going to slow down. And then, no, now Cincinnati's hot. Pittsburgh's kind of slowing down. They're calling Henry Davis their first overall pick in 2021. He's going to be debuting tonight. It's Monday night. So I don't know. It's weird. For my Red Sox, I'm just happy. I'm just happy because it feels like we're dominating the Yankees this year. We're 5-1, I think, this year in the last 6 games with them. The Yankees are just not a good baseball team.
Ooh.
Not when Judge is out. They depend. It feels like they depend too much on Aaron Judge, and it shows. Like their offense is almost. It's just laughable. We've talked about Anthony Volpe before. Like it's just not there. Rizzo, he's hitting like .70 in the month of June. Like that's not gonna cut it. And there's been more news about Aaron Judge, he's still going to be out for a couple weeks. So Boston beat them 15-5 the first game. Then the doubleheader, Sunday or Saturday got suspended. Doubleheader on Sunday, they swept those as well. Brian Bello, they just depend too much on Judge and Cole, right? If it's not a cold day, they're probably going to lose. And I mean, obviously they're struggling right now. Easier to say now that they're struggling, but they go as Judge goes. And if Judge is not there, they're not going anywhere.
And it's crazy that strategy for them is a winning strategy when Judge is there. Because you might think, wow, you can't just depend on one guy and succeed. They kind of do, and they kind of do succeed when he's there. I mean, their runs per game, I think there's like a 2-run difference when Judge is in the lineup and when he's not, which is absolutely absurd. Yeah, so it's almost like it's not silly to depend on him when he's healthy because he will have the impact. But once he's out, I mean, their offense looks futile. It looks really weak. Like it's not scary. And right now in that AL East, anyone can go to third place. I mean, the Red Sox are in last place and you guys are 2 games back. I think, and I think you guys are firmly, I'm going to say this. I think you guys, the Red Sox, are firmly in the wild card hunt.
They are
firmly in the wild card.
They are. I mean,
not just the number. I think as a team, yes.
You know how to make me smile. But wow, whew, it got hot here real quick.
Take a minute.
No, yeah. It's just I still think they're a 500 ball club team. But with that, you're gonna have hot streak and cold streaks. And the hot streak, he's sweeping somebody like the Yankees, gaining a couple games here and there. I'm very curious and. We talk about Atlanta, Miami, Philly. They're all 3 teams are hot. Combined, 16-game winning streak between all 3.
Yeah.
Braves are playing the Phillies. And I think that's gonna be very interesting. The Phillies are hot. This is time. You got yourself a chance to make up some ground. You're 8 games back. I don't know. Win the series, right? Get a game here and there. Miami has been playing unbelievable. They're 10 games over 500 and. I mean, if you would have told Marlins fans, hey, you're going to be 10 games over 500 after 72 games, you would have taken that, right? We're almost halfway through the year, but they're still 5 back. So I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of the teams are in the spot of, we're really happy to be where we're at. If you told us at the beginning of the year, this is where we'd be really happy. But now you want more, right? Yeah. These teams want more. I mean, the Reds, I don't think anyone, the Reds, this was not we're going to go for it type of year. But they're close. So, you kind of got to see what they can do.
The trade deadline is going to be insane because we've talked about Shohei and we'll talk about his career later. But, hey, is he going to be a trade? Is he going to be traded? Well, now they're in second place in the wild card. He's not getting traded if this goes on. Cincinnati, maybe you think like, oh, there's going to be sellers. Well, maybe they're not. I don't know. We always look at Marlins pitching prospects. Well, they're right in the middle of it. They're not trading anybody. They're looking for bats. So Yeah, this
You're
makes
gonna
things
have to
very
look
interesting.
elsewhere. You're gonna have to look elsewhere for some of those trade pieces because a lot of the teams that are usually open for business
All
are
right.
not open for
Yep.
business. They're open for their buyers.
So we're gonna be looking at teams like Detroit, White Sox, Kansas City, right? AL Central teams that are
Yeah.
very bad. We got a big names there: Dylan Cease, Giolito, Aroldis Chapman, Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers. Oakland,
Yep.
obviously, we know. I don't know what they have, but that's gonna be a seller. So I don't know.
Not much.
Interesting for the Cardinals too. The Cardinals are 14 games below 500, so I wonder what they're gonna do. I don't know. They got a lot of young pieces to go along with their vets, but I don't know. I don't think they feel like it's selling time just yet.
I feel like they just take this year as a loss, right? And say we'll be better next year.
You kind of
Isn't
have to,
that
right?
almost the
Yeah.
vibe? Yeah, because you're not going out and making big moves to get pieces, but I don't feel like they're disbanding the team either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just take your L and move on.
By the way, San Diego, Dodgers are trending down. San Diego's kind of trending up,
Yes.
7-3 in the last 10. Fernando Tatis playing at an MVP caliber level, playing amazing Gold Glove defense as well. He's an athlete.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
back to being a highlight reel. Like, I don't know if you saw when they threw it away from second, he went to third and he was just peeking back. He's like, oh, wait a second, boom, almost stealing home. He's electric, right? So
Yeah.
he's feeling good, and you can you can just tell when the teams start playing better. That's when your good players start playing better too.
Yes. Making plays. Literally, it's hard to
Yeah.
like make plays like that in baseball, but when teams are doing well, they have that confidence.
Yeah. So teams that are playing well are three new second place teams. New
Yes.
because they were not second place last week. So that's going to be our start bench of the week. We got the Reds, Giants, and the Angels. We talk a little bit about some of them, but start bench cut, we're thinking about World Series contender, or maybe not World Series contender, but who has a higher chance of making some noise in the postseason. Start bench cut, Giants, Reds, Angels. Who you got? Let's go with cut. Cut one.
This is a tough one. So we talked about most of the teams. We haven't talked too much about the Giants. The Giants are in second place right now. They're ahead of the Angels. Nothing really stands out with them. They are just a little bit well-rounded. They've got some guy like J.D. Davis is playing pretty well. They signed Conforto, who's playing average. I look at their roster. Everyone's kind of doing average, and they're in second place.
They're just winning.
Yeah, they're just winning, but they don't scare me at all. I mean, if I'm talking as a Mets fan, they terrify me because anyone can beat the Mets. But if I'm a good team in the playoffs, I'm not really scared of the Giants. I think they are playing a little bit better than they should right now. I don't think they could do much if they do sneak into the playoffs, and I don't actually think that they will. So I will, and I was between the Reds and the Giants. I'll cut the Giants from this. I don't think the Giants have any chance if they get to the playoffs of doing any damage.
It's interesting because we talk about the Dodgers trending down, but it's also because they just play the Giants. The Giants are the reason why they're trending down. So I'm actually going to bench the Giants and I'm cutting the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati obviously is a very weak division. We talk about it's probably the second weakest division. For them to make the playoffs in the postseason, I think they would have to win the division. I think the Giants can still make the postseason even if they don't win the division. So I think that's where I feel like maybe they're, and I don't know the numbers. I'm not a math guy, but their percentage at making the postseason is probably higher for the Giants. And I think that's why I'm going to bench them while cutting Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati, it's fun. I love that what's happening in Cincinnati. We haven't seen great baseball out of Cincinnati in forever. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I'm obviously starting the Angels. It's just Shohei, right? And Mike Trout has been struggling, but his struggle is still better than most teams. Like he's on pace for 35 home runs or whatever, 130 plus OPS plus. He's still Mike Trout, right? So I'm starting the Angels, benching the Giants, and let's cut Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think this one's obvious. I mean, I'm starting the Angels as well, and that's a no-brainer. I am benching the Reds. I think they have a little bit more of a chance. I think they're deeper. I think Ellie De La Cruz, it's still, we got to see what he does because he has slowed down, right? It wouldn't be surprising. I think he's hitting 273 right now. It wouldn't be surprising to see him go into a slump. We've said pitchers start to figure it out. But they're still pretty good. Jonathan India's having a pretty good year. Spencer Steer's having a good year. I think they have a little bit more depth if Votto can add something to them. I think they're more of like a lightning rod team. I think if they got into the playoffs with it being such a feel good story, I guess the Giants would be too, but they're not really attracting that kind of attention. I'd be a little more scared of the Reds. But the Angels,
They're the
we're
better
going to talk
team.
about Shohei. We're going to talk about Shohei, who's the best player in the world. So they have the best player in the world. They have now also what I would still say is probably the second best player in the world in Mike Trout. I mean, you're facing Ohtani on the mound. You're going to have Shohei and Trout back to back going through the order. Regardless of what everyone else does, those teams can beat you in short series when they have that firepower. So they would be scary, and I hope we get to see that.
And they seem to have a weapon in the bullpen, right? In Esteves, he's been lights out for
Yes.
them. We see the Angels at 41 and 33. We feel like this is what they should do every year, but they just never do. It's interesting that it's happening without Rendon. He's been a non-factor. He's been hurt. And
He's
still,
on the injured list again, I think.
yeah, I think it was day to day. He was going to miss a couple days. I think he's back Wednesday or whatever. But even if he's on the lineup, it really doesn't mean anything. He's hitting like 220 with like a home run. He got lucky probably in one swing. Like he just doesn't bring anything to the table. It's crazy. As crazy as that sounds because he's getting paid like $35 million a year. But it's crazy that the year that the Angels are actually showing up is the year that Shohei is free agent, right? Like his last year, maybe. So I don't know. It reminds me of Adrian Beltre. You remember when Beltre had an amazing career, but there were some down years, and he always bounced back. Like he always had career years the year before he was a free agent. He would get paid and then kind of slow down a little bit. Oh, free agency, boom, crazy.
Coincidence?
Are you saying steroids?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying the guy wanted to get paid. Wow.
I was
Victor,
asking.
you're a conspiracy theorist.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
I mean, probably steroids also. Yeah.
I mean, he had an amazing career, which is weird. Like, you know what? I'm actually gonna look it up. I don't even know when he was a free agent, but I'm gonna guess when he was 25, he was a free agent. Home run per year: 15, 20, 13, 21, 23, and then when he was 25, he hit 48. And then he went to Seattle. I think that was a big contract. Seattle gave him a big contract. It was 19, 25, 26, 25, 8. And then Boston, he went to Boston, had 28, 32, 36. He kind of figured it out there in his early 30s. He made 3 straight All-Star appearances there. But, yeah, I don't know. That 23, 48, 19 was kind of
What a career,
weird.
though.
20
right?
years.
Those
almost
were big
32.
numbers, though. Yeah.
I mean, he played. He just never got hurt, right? Like, if we look at games played, when he was 23, 159, 158, 156, 156, 156, 149, 143, 111, 154. Like, that's consistency. That's somebody.
And that's valuable, right?
Yeah.
How many stars, we talk about Judge, how many stars do you just need to see healthy? Even Trout has battled his injuries. Pitchers, I mean, that peace of mind, I think owners would pay more if they knew, hey, you're just going to be healthy. Like, forget the money. You're going to be out there 145 games out of the year. You know, we'll pay you extra for that.
Because when you're, I mean, if you're not healthy, even if you're playing, right? Like, I feel like most times there, like, if you look at those numbers of games played, he was close to 100% most likely too, right? So it's not just being there. I don't know. It's, you want your players to play. Like, you're literally paying them to play. So you want them available.
Great analysis from us. You want your good players on the field.
Yep, and the Yankees don't have him. But the Angels do. The Angels, like you mentioned, have their best player in the world. The best player, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think you can agree, right? The best player in history, talent-wise.
Yep.
We're not talking about careers and just yet. But Shohei Ohtani, he's just unbelievable right now. He's on a hot streak that, unlike we've never seen before. And we're talking about somebody that won the Rookie of the Year, who won an MVP. In his last 14 games, he has 9 home runs, 17 RBIs, 1.626 OPS. Last 7 games, he has 6 home runs. He's pitching amazing still, right? 3.2 ERA, I think, on a 6-2 record. The guy is unreal. And I don't know if you saw the home run he had off of Zach Greinke, which was a curveball, a 70-mile curveball, which is kind of like that Ephus pitch. That left his bat at 117. You know how difficult that is? You know how hard you have to swing? That's
usually when you're facing someone throwing 98, 99.
Yes.
Because how do you generate? I mean, he is a big guy. We've realized that over time. But that's insanity.
It is. It is.
He can go down as
Yeah,
he can go down as the best to ever do it.
Now we're talking about. We were just talking about being healthy. That's gonna be the main reason. He missed a year where he couldn't pitch. He was just DHing. He had the arm injury, I think he had. But already, rookie of the year, MVP. He's a two-time All-Star, Silver Slugger. The thing is that he's playing at an elite level at both sides, and it feels like he keeps getting better. He's leading the league in home run and RBIs. Oh, by the way, he has 10 stolen bases. Like,
Nuts.
it's not normal. He's hitting 300. He's getting paid 600 million. Like, he's for sure getting 450. We've talked about the 500. We might be talking about closer to 600 at this point. Is that crazy to say?
It's not crazy to say, and this throws a big wrench into the trade deadline because they can't trade him now, right? Two episodes ago, I said they were about to fall out of contention and he was going to get traded sooner rather than later. Could not have been more far off. They cannot trade him now. Like, the fan base will revolt. You will literally lose fans. You'll set the organization back. So I think he's there. I don't know what they do. They're in a really tough spot. But I want to put a little bit of a damper on this Ohtani.
Okay, but before you do that, whatever nonsense you're about to say.
Okay.
If they don't trade him and he leaves on free agency, they don't win the World Series, they don't do much or whatever, you can't blame the Angels for not trading him at that point, right? Like, because I'm sure if they don't trade him, they're going to try to offer him something and try to bring him back, right?
Yes.
Aside from you've been here, you got Mike Trout, this is a step in the right direction. We're trending upwards. But if they don't sign him or if they don't trade him and then they don't sign him, they lose him, I'm not blaming them. Because
I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them, but it is the GM's job to do whatever's best for the team.
I would rather be the GM. I would rather be the GM of a AAA team right now, if they have GMs.
Because this is the toughest decision that a GM may ever face. If the trade deadline comes and they are, let's give a number. All
right, so
trade deadline comes and they're 3.5 back
of the division, or because right now they're second in the wild card, right? Mm-hmm. And they are what, 3.5, 4.5 games behind the first place Rangers. You know, because we didn't mention Houston. They've lost 4 in a row. That's why they're now third place. They got swept as well. So let's say.
Okay, so go ahead.
I was going to say, if they're 3 games back, you're not trading him. You have to be 6 games out
of the division.
Let's go wild card. I just don't see them dropping off that far.
I don't either, but I still see the Astros behind them, right? So let's say the Astros overtake and trade deadline comes and the Angels are 3 games back of the wild card.
You don't trade. I'm not trading. I mean,
you don't trade them.
I'll listen. What do you? Hey, offer me stuff, because the offers would be insane.
Are gonna be
insane, right? It's gonna be like it's gonna put your. It would probably. I mean, unless you're the Boston Red Sox, where you trade Mookie for Jeter Downs, but if you get good offers, which you probably will, even though it's gonna be for a rental, I'm sure there's gonna be the big teams, right? The Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees. They're gonna be calling, offering everything, while also trying to sign him. You're going to have to get a lot back, and it's going to put your team in a very good spot for the next few years, but you don't have Shohei. And he brings a lot, not only on the field, but off the field as well.
Yes.
Like he brings
in money off the field.
Millions.
Yes.
So, again, it's going to be very interesting to see. Go ahead and say whatever mean thing you're about to say, and then we'll see.
Before I'm not bashing Shohei at all. This is more, I think he can go down as the best baseball player of all time. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He's the best player. Right now, we looked at it. He leads the Angels in just about every offensive category and pitching category. Best player on the planet.
But
I need to see him carry them to the playoffs. I do. And I know that that's hard in baseball. I know it's very hard for one player to carry a team to the playoffs. but he does make a little bit more impact than most players. He does get to pitch every fifth day, and then he is in the lineup every day. Right as it stands right now, they are in the playoffs. They are in the playoffs. I'm heaping all this stuff on him. I want him to back it up. He needs to take the Angels to the playoffs. He can't have some sort of, and I don't expect him to, but I don't want him to slow down in the second half of the year. I know it's hard. It's a ton of weight on his shoulders, literally pitching wise, all that, but he's now 28 years old. He's become the face of baseball. All this stuff that I've almost bashed Mike Trout for. It's because he never took him to the playoffs, all this stuff, and you almost can't blame him because it's a team game. But it would elevate Ohtani even more in my eyes if he gets him to the playoffs and I get to see him do some spectacular stuff in the playoffs, because there's a very good chance he's not with the Angels next year and he's on a really good team and they go to the playoffs and he does great stuff. Okay.
That was going to be my question.
Carry this team to the playoffs.
So that was going to be my question. Carry the team to the playoffs, but what if they get swept and he goes 2 for 15? You're going to count that against him too, right? Or not?
No, it's baseball. It's baseball. I mean, we like to think we understand baseball pretty well, and short series in the playoffs are crazy. Everyone goes through slumps. That's why the baseball season's so long, because you really don't know who's good and who's not until you play that whole season. So no, I mean, it wouldn't be good, right, if he goes 2 for 15 and loses the first game, getting shelled on the mound. But I wouldn't really hold that against them. It's more of, I want to see him take them to the playoffs. And he has help. He has Mike Trout. They have a decent team, but this is his team right now. And for me, I just want to see him do that. That's like the only little that would just make it better.
I want to see it too, but I also want to see it because I want to see Shohei and Trout in October. Like, play meaningful games. You know, like that's not only for their legacy, but for my own personal gain. Like, I want to see that. Yeah, like everybody's going to be tuned
players.
in.
Yeah.
And we already saw them in the WBC, right? Like, where we got a little bit of a hint of them playing in playoff atmosphere, in high stake games. They showed up, right?
Right.
So, oh my God, is it October yet? No, it's not even. It's not even.
We just got excited for it. No, but that's part of the reason. Like, don't deprive me of that, right? I know they're trying not to. They're trying to get to the playoffs, but don't deprive me of seeing two of the best players in the world. We don't know how long this is a limited time thing that's going on right now.
Okay.
And I want to see them. We have them start bench cut. Which of these second place teams could be the most dangerous, could contend? We saw the Padres get hot, blah, blah. We started them, and I want to see it. So I'm hoping Shohei's able to keep this up for the rest of the year and make that happen.
So let's say he keeps this up. He wins his second MVP. He finished second last year in MVP. So that's MVP, second MVP. All-Star, Rookie of the Year. Let's say after this, he doesn't do much, right?
Ooh.
Hall of Famer? Or is it not enough?
Doesn't do much? What is doesn't do much?
Let's say he doesn't win another MVP. He doesn't make another All-Star. He ends up getting maybe another 50. I'm just putting a worst case scenario, right? I don't want to throw anything bad juju out there either, because I think that would be horrible for everything and everyone. But like, as of right now, if you give him an MVP after this year, is he an MVP? So the way I'm seeing it is because he's a two-way player. He's doing two different things. It almost feels like, it would be 3-time All-Star. Well, it also almost feels like a 6-time All-Star because he's doing it on both sides. MVP or Hall of Famer?
No.
Too soon?
Too soon. Just because, like you said, it does feel like 6-time All-Star, but it's not. It would be close though, because he feels like he's changed the game, right? Like, he's a groundbreaker.
150 home runs already from a guy that's also, I think, he led the league in strikeouts last year. It was among the it's something that we've never seen before. Not at this level.
It won't happen that he falls off, I don't think. But in your scenario, if he really does fall off, then no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if he becomes an average player, he's well on his way anyways. You know what I mean? Like, even if he doesn't maintain this level, that it's unhuman, right?
If he completely but he needs more All-Star games.
Yeah.
He does. He does. One MVP. That would be more of a look back and go, remember Shohei, man? That guy was incredible for 4 years.
I don't want to. I don't want to say
I
that.
don't want.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's really sad.
Yeah, that was.
But no, he's on the trajectory. And I think he should already have another All-Star. I think his second year he didn't get it because he won the Rookie of the Year. He had a decent year his second year. Nothing amazing, but he was also pitching, so you would think that would account for something. It's weird how the voters go.
It's insane. If he goes
But
another
now he's
like
in that spot where he can have like a below average year, and based on the name, he will get the All-Star games.
Yeah, I'm looking at like his baseball reference page, and I see like, let's say he goes another 7 years like this, and it would not make sense to look at this baseball reference page where like in 2021, he led the league in triples. He had 46 home runs, 100 RBIs, and like he also pitched. So imagine like that 30 to 45
breakdown.
home run every single year, and like 15, 20 stolen bases, and like, and also pitching sub 3 ERA or whatever. Like it's crazy.
Like, why do they keep showing two players on this page?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's just Shohei. But yeah, I want to see him. I want to see him in, at the very worst, and I think we'll get it, meaningful games,
Yeah.
like really meaningful games down the stretch.
Hey.
Which it feels when we look at the standings, there's
gonna
going to
happen.
be a lot of them. Just forget the Angels. There's going to be a lot.
I was gonna say, not even at this rate, they're gonna have a lot of meaningful games in September. Like they're gonna feel like they're in a playoff race. Texas is not going anywhere. Houston is not. I don't think they're falling off. Like they've had a bad streak right now, but this wild card race is gonna be wild, and there's gonna be a lot of meaningful games for them. So we're gonna get a taste of it. Even if they don't make it, I think we're gonna get a little bit taste of it of them in the postseason. But that will do it. Episode 21. Good stuff. You want to walk us off?
I liked it.
You got anything?
No, we're getting more now away from like, oh, this is the summer baseball. These are big games. This is where the storylines develop. I feel like the storylines have developed, and it's very interesting. The American League East and the wild card chase, mainly the wild card chase with all those AL East teams, is nuts. You got to see what happens. The Reds are quickly becoming a very feel-good story. Are the Dodgers gonna make the playoffs? Ohtani is lights out. There's some big series coming up. I want to see it. Every week now, things are like, they're really mattering.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to All-Star Weekend. It's coming. It's coming soon. We got some votes out there already.
The vote tallies out.
Yep. We're gonna be talking about. I think that's something we should talk about next week. Some of the voting system, or not voting system, but who's getting the votes, who's leading. There's some big names there. Who's the better team? AL. That All-Star Weekend is just so much fun. Home Run Derby, even the Future Stars game, it's electric. So that's gonna be fun. Again, thank you so much for listening, watching, or whatever you're at. If you enjoyed it, like it, subscribe, share it, rate it, all that good stuff. Baseball as intended, episode 21. We're done. We'll see you next time.
Adios.